In the cold, merciless world of Auschwitz, hope was the first thing that usually died. It was a place where human life meant nothing. Every morning, men lined up, waiting to hear if they would live or vanish into the smoke. Among those men was Viktor Frankl, a psychologist, a husband, a son, now reduced to a number. But one night, in the darkest corner of that death camp, something happened, something that would later inspire millions. That night, when most had already given up, Viktor Frankl found something no garb could take away from him. He found meaning. What would you do if everything you loved was stripped away? If your freedom, your family, your future were all stolen in front of your eyes? Would you break, or would you search for something that still makes life worth living? This is the story of how one man discovered the power of purpose, even in a place built to destroy it. A story that still whispers to us today, meaning can survive anywhere, even in the heart of suffering. Viktor Frankl was born on March 26, 1905, in Vienna, Austria, into a warm Jewish family. His father worked in public service, a man of discipline and order, while his mother filled their home with quiet care and love. As a child, Viktor was always curious. He loved asking questions, especially about life, death, and purpose. Even as a teenager, he was searching for something deeper than simple answers. In school, he developed a passion for psychology. He was fascinated by the human mind and the invisible forces that drive people to keep living. Viktor worked hard, studied medicine, and became a neurologist and psychiatrist. He was building a good life. He had loving parents, a beautiful young wife named Tilly, and a growing career. But life in Austria was changing. The Nazi shadow grew darker. As a Jewish man, Viktor's world soon collapsed. His family was forced into hiding. Their rights were stripped. And in 1942, he and his loved ones were captured and sent to concentration camps. Have you ever watched your life disappear in a single moment? Viktor was thrown into a world where survival meant watching everything you loved being torn away, piece by piece. When Viktor Frankl arrived at Auschwitz, everything changed in an instant. His name was taken. His clothes were taken. Even his wedding ring was torn from his hand. In that moment, he realized he had nothing left, except one thing: his ability to choose how he would face his suffering. In the camp, life was reduced to survival. Each day was a battle against hunger, cold, and exhaustion. Prisoners were beaten. Friends disappeared overnight. Viktor watched men collapse from hopelessness, sometimes faster than from hunger. But as a psychologist, Viktor began observing not just the cruelty of the guards, but the strength of the human spirit. He noticed something remarkable. The prisoners who survived the longest were not always the strongest in body. They were often the ones who still found meaning in something. Those who dreamed of seeing their family again. Those who wanted to finish their life's work. Those who believed that even in pain, life had something left to offer. Have you ever thought about what would keep you going if you had nothing left? Viktor learned that when you have a purpose, you can endure the unbearable. One night, walking alone through the freezing camp, Viktor looked up at the sky. He imagined his wife, somewhere far away, maybe still alive, maybe not. He could feel her presence, not in his hands, but in his heart. In that moment, he realized that even in suffering, love survives. Even when everything is taken, your freedom to choose your attitude remains. That night, Viktor Frankl found what he called the last of the human freedoms, the freedom to choose his response, even in a death camp. That discovery changed his life, and later, it would change the lives of millions. When the camp was finally liberated in 1945, Viktor had lost his parents, his brother, and his beloved wife. But he carried something powerful out of those prisons. It's a message that life always holds meaning, even in the worst moments. Viktor Frankl's struggles did not end when the gates of Auschwitz opened. His body survived, but his soul carried deep scars. He returned to Vienna to find an empty home. His beloved wife Tilly had died in another camp. His parents and brother were gone. Everything familiar was gone. Can you imagine coming back to a city where your memories lived, but your family did not? The streets felt colder. The silence felt heavier. Even freedom can feel like a prison when you have lost everything. In those first years after the war, Viktor battled grief, guilt, and the crushing question, why had he survived when so many others did not? He faced the invisible weight that many survivors carried, the pain of remembering, the fear of forgetting. But Viktor chose to fight not just for himself, but for others. He poured his pain into his work. He began writing his book, Man's Search for Meaning, trying to give words to what he had learned inside the camp. The writing was not easy. Each sentence forced him to relive the cold, the hunger, the deaths. Viktor also faced critics. Some accused him of oversimplifying suffering. Others doubted whether finding meaning in horror was even possible. But he stayed true to his experience. His life was not a story of sudden healing. He faced sadness for years, but he kept choosing to move forward. Sometimes survival is not the hardest part. Sometimes it's learning how to live again. Viktor Frankl's greatest achievement was not surviving the camp. His greatest achievement was teaching the world how to survive life itself. His book, Man's Search for Meaning, became one of the most important works of the 20th century. It has been translated into dozens of languages and has reached the hearts of millions. In that book, Viktor didn't just tell his story. He offered a new way to think about suffering. He showed that even when we cannot change our situation, we can still change our response. Life is asking us a question, and it is up to us to answer with courage, with love, with purpose. He called his method logotherapy, the search for meaning as the driving force in human life. He traveled the world, teaching, speaking, and listening. His voice became a guide for those lost in grief, depression, or fear. Viktor's work helped soldiers returning from war, patients facing terminal illness, people struggling with pain that seemed too heavy to carry. He showed them that life is not about avoiding suffering, but about finding meaning inside it. Have you ever wondered what makes life truly worth living? Viktor Frankl's answer was simple but powerful. Find your purpose. Serve something greater than yourself. Love, even when love seems impossible. Because even in the coldest nights, meaning survives. Viktor Frankl's most powerful belief was this: when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. These words became his life's compass. He taught that suffering itself is not what destroys us. It is the loss of meaning that breaks us. He believed that life is always asking us, what will you do with your pain? His answer was clear: turn it into purpose. One of his most famous quotes reminds us, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Viktor also said, those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. This simple truth became a guiding light for many who felt trapped in sadness, grief, or hopelessness. His philosophy was not about chasing happiness. It was about chasing meaning. Because when you live with purpose, happiness often follows. Have you ever asked yourself, what is my why? Viktor Frankl's life invites you to ask that question and to find your answer. Viktor Frankl's story is not just about surviving a death camp. It is about surviving life's deepest losses. His life gently asks you, what is your meaning? What gives you the strength to get up when life pushes you down? We often think happiness comes from avoiding pain, but Viktor teaches us that life will always have pain. The question is not how to escape it, but how to face it. Will you crumble, or will you find a reason to keep going? Even in the darkest moments, you still have the freedom to choose your response. Even when everything is taken from you, no one can take your attitude. That is the power you carry, even if the world tries to break you. Viktor also reminds us to love deeply, even when love seems far away. In the camp, love for his wife kept him alive. What would keep you alive? What would you hold on to when the world around you collapses? The lesson is simple. Find your why. Live for something bigger than your pain. That is where real strength is born. That is how you survive. That is how you grow. If Viktor Frankl's story made you pause, made you reflect, or made you feel something deep, don't let it stop here. Share your thoughts in the comments. What is your why? What gives your life meaning? Like this video if his journey inspired you. Subscribe for more stories that help us find courage, purpose, and hope in the middle of life's hardest moments.